Namah Parvati Pate Hara 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 Mahadev. Namo Swanantaya Sahasramurtaye Sahasraparak Shishirodbhave Sahasranamne Purushaya Shashvate Sahasrakoti Yugadarine Namah. Om Namah Shivaya Gurave Satchidananda Murtaye Nishprapanchaya Shantaya Niralambaya Tejase Nityanandaya Gurave Shisha Samsara Harine Bhaktakaye Kadeyaya Namaste Chitsadatmane. Om Sahana Bhavatu Sahano Bhunaktu Sahaviryam Karavavahe Tejasvinavaritamastru Ma Vidvishavahe. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Om Namo Gurubhyo Guru Padukabhyo Namah Parevya Harapadukabhya Acharya Siddhesh Harapadukabhyo Namo Namah Shri Guru Padukabhya Rimkara Rimkara Rahasya Yukta Rimkara Gura Tamavibhutya Omkara Marma Pratiparinebhyam Namo Namah Shri Guru Padukabhyam Otragni Otra Niyavishotru Omari Sarva Prithiva Samanam Yad Brahma Tattva Ravitarinebhyam Namo Namah Shri Guru Padukabhyam Amari Sarpa Rajagarudabhyam Viveka Vaira Yaniri Pradabhyam Vora Pradabhyam Rutamokshatabhyam Namo Namah Shri Guru Padukabhyam Ananta Samsara Samudratara Lokaitabhyam Stira Bhaktidabhyam Jadyabdi Samsho Shanavaravabhyam Namo Namah Shri Guru Padukabhyam Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Om Asya Shri Guru Gita Stotra Mantrasya Bhagavan Sada Shiva Rishi दिव्य जगत कारणे विश्वकीर्णमने करे अनिलये स्वच्छन्दमा मे चया तद्योतं परशम्भवं तु चरणं दीपाङ्कुरद्वारिणं प्रत्यक्षाक्षरविग्रहं गुरुपरं ध्यायेत् विभुं शाश्वतम् मम चतुर्विधा पुरुषार्थसिद्ध्यर्थे जपे विनियोगा सुता उवाच कैलासशिखरे रम्ये भक्तिसन्धाननायकं प्रणम्य पार्वती भक्त्या शङ्करं पाय पृच्छति श्रीदेवी उवाच ॐ नमो देवदेवेश परपरा जगद्गुरो सदाशिव महादेव गुरुदीक्षां प्रदेहि मे येन मार्गेण भो स्वामी देहि भ्रमं मयो भवेत् त्वां कृपां कुरु मे स्वामी नमामि चरणौ तव ईश्वर उवाच मम रूपासि देवी त्वां त्वत्प्रीत्यर्थं वदाम्यहं लोकोपकारकः प्रश्नो न केनापि कृतः पुरा दुर्लभं कृष्णलोकेषु तत्तुरुष्वा वदाम्यहं गुरुविना ब्रह्मणान्यात् सत्यं सत्यं वरानने वेदशास्त्रपुराणानि इतिहासादिकानि च मन्त्रयन्त्रादिविद्याश्च स्मृतिरुचातनारिकाम् शैवशाक्तमादीनि अन्यानि विविधानि च अपभ्रंशकराणि जीवनं भ्रान्तते च साम् यज्ञो व्रतं प्रपोदानं जपस्तीर्थं च देव च गुरुतममविज्ञाय पुरस्ते चरते जना गुरुबुद्ध्या मनोनन्यत् सत्यं सत्यं न संशयः कल्पवर्तप्रयनस्तु कर्तव्यो हि मनीषिभिः पुरविद्या जगन्माया च ज्ञानसम्भवाम् उदयो या प्रकाशेन गुरुशब्देन कथ्यते सर्वपापविशुद्धात्मा श्रीगुरुपरसेवनात् देहि ब्रह्म भवेत् यस्मात् चक्रपर्तं वदामि ते गुरुभारम्बुजं स्मृत्वा जलं शिरसि धारये सर्वतीर्थावगास्य सम्प्राप्नोति फलं नरः पपङ्गस्य दीपनं ज्ञानतेजसां गुरुभारोरकं सम्यक् संसारानवतारकम् अज्ञानमूलार्णं क्षमाकर्मानिवारणं ज्ञानवैरागसिद्ध्यर्थं गुरुभारोरकं पिबेत् गुरुभारोरकं पीत्वा गुरुरुचिष्टभोजनं गुरुमूर्ते सरध्यानं गुरुमन्त्रं सराजपेत् काशीश्रेष्ठं च निवासो जानवी चरणोरकं गुरुविश्वेश्वर साक्षात् तारकं ब्रह्मनिश्चितं गुरुपारोरकं यात् तायसो सोक्षयो वचः तीर्थराजा प्रयागश्च गुरुमूर्ते नमो नमः गुरुमूर्तिं स्मरे नित्यं गुरुनामसराजपे गुरुरञ्जन प्रकुर्वीता गुरु पतिर्यता स्वश्रमं च स्वजातिं च स्वार्थिति पुष्टिवर्धनम् एतत् सर्वं परित्याज्य गुरुरन्यान् भावये अनन्यश्चिन्तयतो मां सुलभं परमं पदम् तस्मात् सर्वप्रयत्नेन गुरुराराधनं कुरु त्रैलोक्ये स्फुटवक्तारो देवर्यसुरपन्नगा गुरुवक्त्रसितवीर्या गुरुभक्त्या च लभ्यते उपकारस्त्वन्धकारश्च मृत्करस्तेजोक्षते अज्ञानग्रासकं ब्रह्म गुरुरेव न संशयः उपकार प्रथमो वर्णो मायादि गुणभासकः उपकारो द्वितीयो ब्रह्म माया भ्रान्ति विनाशनम् एवं गुरुपदं श्रेष्ठं देवानामपि दुर्लभम् आहुगणेश्चैव गन्धर्वैश्च प्रपूज्यते ध्रुवं तेषां च सर्वेषां नास्ति तद्वं गुरुपरम् आसनं शयनं वस्त्रं भूषणं वा नारिकाम्
साधकेन
प्रदातव्यं गुरुसन्तोषकारकं गुरुराराधनं कार्यं स्वजीवित्वं निवेदये कर्मणा मनसा वाचा नित्यमाराधये गुरुं दीर्घदण्डं नमस्कृत्य निर्लजो गुरुसानिधौ शरीरमेन्द्रियं प्राणं सद्गुरुभ्यो निवेदये आत्मदारारिकं सर्वं सद्गुरुभ्यो निवेदये भस्मविष्टा दुर्गन्धिमालमूत्रकं श्लेष्मरक्तं त्वचामंसं वञ्चयेन वरानने संसारवृक्षमारुतः अन्ततो नारकर्णवे येन चैव धृताः सर्वे तस्मै श्रीगुरवे नमः गुरुब्रह्मा गुरुविष्णु गुरुदेवो महेश्वरः गुरुरेव परब्रह्म तस्मै श्रीगुरवे नमः एकवे जगतामेव संसारानावसेचवे प्रभवे सर्वविद्यानां शम्भवे गुरवे नमः अज्ञानतिमिरन्धस्य ज्ञानजनशलाकया चक्षुरुन्मीलितं येन तस्मै श्रीगुरवे नमः
त्वं च मे माता
त्वं बन्धुस्त्वं च देवता संसारप्रतिबोधार्थं तस्मै श्रीगुरवे नमः यत्सत्येन जगत्सत्यं यत्प्रकाशेन भातितात् यदानन्देन नन्दन्ति तस्मै श्रीगुरवे नमः यस्य स्थित्या सत्यमिदं यद्भाति मानरूपता प्रियं पुत्रार्या प्रीत्या तस्मै श्रीगुरवे नमः येन चेतायते इदं चित्तं चेतायते नयं जाग्रत्स्वप्ना सुषुप्त्यादि तस्मै श्रीगुरवे नमः यस्य ज्ञानानिदं विश्वं नादृशं वीरभैरवं सरेकरूपरूपाय तस्मै श्रीगुरवे नमः यस्य मातं तस्य मतं वेदसः अनन्यभावभावाय तस्मै श्रीगुरवे नमः यस्य कारणरूपस्य Atapanivarakam Tarakam Sarvarapabhya Shri Gurum Pranamamyam Shive Gurude Guru Shata Guru Gurude Shivo Nahi Asmat Sarva Prayanena Shri Gurum Sharanam Raje Vande Guru Paradvamvam Amarasita Gocharam Shvetarakta Prabhavinam Shiva Shaktya Makambaram
Kalam Chakra
Gunatitam Rukaram Rupavartitam Gunatita Sarupam Cha Yodadyatsa Guru Smrtam Atrinetra Sarva Sakshi Achatur Bahurachutam Achatur Vanaro Brahma Shri Guru Kartita Priye Ayam Ayanjalir Bhado Daya Sagara Vrittaye Yadanugrato Jantush Chitra Samsara Mukti Bhak Shri Guru Paramam Rupam
Viveka Chakshusho Muktam
Mandabhagyana Pashyanti Anda Suryodayam Yata Srinata Charana Dvamvam Yasyam Dishi Virajate Tasye Dishe Namaskuryat Bhaktya Pratidinam Priye Tasye Dishe Satatamajale Arye Lakshipyate Mukarito Marupir Buddhescha Jagati Yatra Bhagavan Guru Chakravarti Ishvaraya Prananatana Nitya Sakshi Vinatari Guru Trayam Ganapatim Etatrayam Veravam Siddhokam Patukatrayam Parayugam Ruti Krama Mandalam Virandrashta Sushta Sashti Navakam Viravali Panchakam Raraja Saitam Vande Guru Mandalam Abhyaste Sakale Sudirga Manile Yadi Prare Dushtare Pranayama Shatera Nekka Karane Dukatma Ker Durjaye Yasmina Vinite Vinashati Bali Vayu Swayam Takshanan Praptum Tatsajam Svabhava Manisham Devatma Mekam Gurum Swadeshika Shiva Sharira Chittanam Bhavedana Tasya Shivasya Chintanam Swadeshika Shiva Chanama Kirtanam Bhavedana Tasya Shivasya Kirtanam Yappararenu Kanika Kapi Samsara Varide Setu Bandayate Natam Deshikam Tam Upasmaye Yasmadhanuglam Labha Mahararyanam Musraje Tasme Shri Shikendraya Namaskar Siddhaye Parabjam Sava Samsara Davana Lavinashakam Jam Madhyasam Chandra Mandale Akatari Tire Kapje Sahasradava Mandale Hamsa Prashna Trikonecha Smaretan Madhyagam Gurum Sakala Bhuvana Srishti Alpita Sesha Pushtir Nikila Nigama Drishti Sambaram Vyartha Drishti Avaguna Parimarstis Tapparartheka Drishtir Bhavaguna Parameshtir Mokshamardika Drishti Sakala Bhuvana Ranga Stapana Sammaya सच्चिदानन्ददृष्टिर् निवासतु मयि नित्यं श्रीगुरोरिव्यदृष्टिम् अग्नेषु समं चाच्युं ज्वालपरीक्षकार्या मन्त्रराजामि मम मन्ये अर्निशं पातं मृत्युथा तरे जति तने जति तद्दुरे तत्समीपके तरन्तरस्य सर्वस्य हरु सर्वस्य बायता अजोऽहमजरोऽहं च आनदीनिधना स्वयम् अविकारश्चिरानन्द आनियां वाचो महान् अपूर्वाणां परं नित्यं स्वयं ज्योतिर्निरामयम् नीरजं परमाकाशं ध्रुवमानन्दमव्ययम् प्रत्यक्षमेतीय मानवानश्चतुष्टयम् यस्य च मतपो वेद देशिकं च सरस्मरे मननं याभवं कार्यं तवरमिमामते सारुत्वं च मया दृष्ट्वा त्वयि तिष्ठति सम्प्रतम् अखण्डमण्डलाकारं व्याप्तं येन चराचरं तत्परं दर्शितं येन तस्मै श्रीगुरवे नमः
सर्वाश्रुति शिरोदत्ता
निरजितपदाम्बुजः निरन्तम्बुजसूर्यो यस् तस्मै श्रीगुरवे नमः यस्य स्मरणमात्रेण ज्ञानमुपद्यते स्वयं य एव सर्वसम्प्राप्तिः तस्मै श्रीगुरवे नमः चैतन्यं शाश्वतं शान्तं व्योमतीतं निरञ्जनं नारबिन्दुकलातीतं तस्मै श्रीगुरवे नमः स्थावरं जगमं चैव तथा चैवाचराचरं व्याप्तं येन जगत्सर्वं तस्मै श्रीगुरवे नमः ज्ञानशक्ति समारुदास् सर्वमालाविभूषितं मुक्तिप्रदातायास् तस्मै श्रीगुरवे नमः अनेकजन्मसम्प्राप्ता सर्वकर्मविदायिने स्वात्मज्ञानप्रभावेन तस्मै श्रीगुरवे नमः न गुरोररिकं तत्त्वं न गुरोररिकं तपः तत्त्वं ज्ञानपरं नास्ति तस्मै श्रीगुरवे नमः मनता श्रीजगन्नाथो मद्गुरु श्रीजगद्गुरु मम सर्वभूतात्मा तस्मै श्रीगुरवे नमः ज्ञानमूलं गुरुमूर्ति पूजमूलं गुरुपरं मन्त्रमूलं गुरुवाक्यं मोक्षमूलं गुरुकृपा गुरुरादिरनारीश्वर गुरुचारणा नयोऽपि न जानन्ति गुरुशुश्रूषणे विधिम् महाङ्कारगर्वेण अपविद्याबलान्विताम् संसाराकुहरावर्ते दातयन्त्रे यथागताम् न मुक्तादेवगन्धर्वा पितरो यक्षकिन्नरा तश्च गुरुसेवा परङ्मुखा ज्ञानं शृणु महादेवी सर्वानन्दप्रदायकां सर्वसौख्यकरं नित्यं मुक्तिविदायकाम् श्रीमत्परब्रह्म गुरुं स्मरामि श्रीमत्परब्रह्म गुरुं वरामि श्रीमत्परब्रह्म गुरुं नमामि श्रीमत्परब्रह्म गुरुं भजामि ब्रह्मानन्दं परमसुखदं
केवलं ज्ञानमूर्तिं
द्वन्द्वातीतं गगनसदृशं तत्त्वमस्यादिलक्ष्यम् एकं नित्यं विमलमचलं सर्वदि साक्षिभूतं भावातीतं त्रिगुणरहितं सद्गुरुं तं नमामि नित्यं शुद्धं निराभासं निराकारं निरञ्जनं नित्यगौरं चिदानन्दं गुरुब्रह्मानमाम्यहम् धम्मजे कर्णिकामर्य संस्थे सिंहासने संस्थित्य दिव्यमूर्तिम् पुस्तकभीष्टवरं धराणाम् श्वेताम्बरं श्वेतविलेपपुष्पं मुक्ताविभूषमुरितं द्विनेत्रं वामकपित्यस्थित्य दिव्यशक्तिम् मन्दस्मितं सान्द्रकृपानिरानाम् आनन्दमानन्दकरं प्रसन्नं ज्ञानस्वरूपं निजबोधयुक्तं योगीन्द्रमित्यं भवरोगवैद्यं श्रीमद्गुरुं नित्यमहं नमामि यस्मै सुसिद्धिदोऽंसः पञ्चवीरं शाश्वत भासते तं नमाम्यहम् रक्तशिरशिशुक्लाब्जे नीलित्वं द्विभुजं गुरुं परभययुतं शान्तं स्मरेतं नाम पूर्वकम् न गुरोररिकं न गुरोररिकं न गुरोररिकं न गुरोररिकम् शिवशासनता 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 चिरमेव शिवं चिरमेव शिवं चिरमेव शिवं चिरमेव शिवं मम शासनतो मम शासनतो मम शासनतो मम शासनता एवं विदं गुरुं यात्वा ज्ञानमुपार्यते स्वयं तत्सद्गुरुप्रसादेन मुक्तवामिति भावये गुरुदर्शितमार्गेण मनःशुद्धिं तु कारये नित्यं खण्डये सर्वं यत्किञ्चित्त्वमगोचरम् ध्येयं सर्वस्वरूपं च ज्ञानं च मनोच्यते नन्यपन्था द्वितीयका एवं श्रुत्वा महादेवी गुरुनिन्दं करोति सायति नरकं घोरं यावचन्द्रदिवाकरो तव कल्पाञ्चकोजेहास्तावदेव गुरुं स्मरे गुरुलोपनकर्तव्यात् स्वच्छन्दो यरिवापमे ओङ्कारेण न वक्तव्यम् Parvati Ashakta hi suradyascha Ashakta munayastha Guru shapena te shigram Chayam yanti na samshaya Mantra raja miram devi Guru rityakshara-dvayam Sruti virartha vakyena Guru sakshat param-param Shruti smrti avinyaya
Kevalam Guru Sevakaha
Teve sanyasina prokta Itare veshadarina Nityam brahma nirakaram Nirgunam bhoraye param
Sarvam Brahma Nirabhasam Deepo Deepantaram Vritha Guru Kripa Prasadena Atmaramam Nivikshaye Anninna Guru Margena
Swatmajnanam pravartate Abrahmastabhapaneyantam Paramamasvarupakam Stavaram jagamam shaiva Pranamami jaganmayam Vandeham sachiranandam Viratitam saragurum
Nityam Purnam Nirakaram
Nirgunam swama sansitam Parat parataram dhyeyam Nityamanandakarakam Hridayakashamadhyastam Sudasvati kasanibam Svatika pratimarupam Drushate darpane yatam Tatamani chirakaram Anandam soam nityutam Angushta mandra purusham Dayataschimayam vridim Tatra spurati bhavoya Shunutam katayam yam Agocharam tatagamyam Namarupa vivarjitam Nishabdam cha vijaniyam Sabhavam brahma parvati Yata gandha subhavena Karpura kusumarishu Shitoshnani swabhavena Yata brahma cha shashvatam Swayam jata vido bhutva Skattavyam yatra kutrachim Gita brahma ravatatra Jnanam bhavati tadrusham Guru jnanam chakrutva Swayam brahma mayo bhave
Pinde Pade Dudharupe
Mukto sonata samshaya Shri Parvati uvacha Pindam kintu mahadeva Param kim samudaratam Rupam Pamkin edatatyai shankara Shri Mahadeva uvacha Pindam kundalini shakti Paramam samudaratam Rupam vidurtiyeyam Rupaditam niranjanam Pinde mukta pare mukta Rupe mukta varanane Rupajite tuye muktas Te mukta natra samshaye Swayam sarvamayo bhutva Param tavam vilokaye
Padat Padat Param Danyat
Sarvametan niralayam
Tasya
Tasya prapya Savasanga vivarjitam Ekakini spura shantas Tishta seta prasajatam
Labdham Vatana Labdham
Sabbaba baulam tatam Nishkamene vabhoktavyam Sada santushta chechasam Sarvagnya paramityahur Devi sarvam mayo buddham Sarananda sarashanta Ram दर्शनम् मुक्तस्य लक्षणं देवी तवाग्रे कथितं मया उपदेशस्तथा देवी गुरुमार्गेण मुक्तिरा गुरुभक्तिस्तथा ध्यानं सकलं तव कीर्तितम् अनेन तवरमिमामते लोकोपकारकं देवी लौकिकं तु न भावये लौकिका कर्मणो यान्ति ज्ञानेनापवर्णवान् ज्ञाने तु भावये सर्वं कर्मनिष्कर्म यत्कृतम् इदं तु भक्तिभावेन आतते शृणुचेयरि लिखित्वा परातव्यं तत्सर्वं सफलं भवेत् सर्वेषां स्वयमेव जपे सदा गुरुगीताक्षरे काञ्च मन्त्रराजामिमं जपे अन्ये च विविरा मन्त्रा कलां नृणन्ति षोडशीम् अनन्तफलमप्नोति गुरुगीता जपेन च सर्वपापप्रशमनं सर्वदारिद्र्यनाशनं कालमृत्युभयारं सर्वसङ्कटनाशनं यक्षरक्षसभूतानां चोरव्याघ्रभयापहम् महाव्यारिहरं सर्वं विभूतिसिरिरं ममे स्वयमेव जपे सदा वस्त्रसाने च दारिद्र्यं भाषणे रोगसम्भवं नैरिण्यां दुःखमप्नोति कष्टे भवति निष्फलम् कृष्णाजिर्यानसिद्धिर्मोक्षशीघ्राग्रचर्मणि दुःशासने यानसिद्धि सर्वसिरुसुकम्बले सेवा दुर्वया देवी आसने शुभ्रकम्बले उपविश्य ततो देवी जपेते ग्रागमानसा शुक्लं च शल्यार्थं भाषिरक्तासनं प्रिये अभिचारे कृष्णवर्णं पीतवर्णं धनागमे उत्तरे शान्तिकामस्तु वशे पूर्वामुखो जपे दक्षिणे मरणं प्रोक्तं काशीमे च धनागमम् मोहनं सर्वभूतानां बन्धमोक्षकरं भवेत् देवराजा प्रियकरं सर्वलोकवशं भवेत् सर्वेषां स्तम्भनकरं पुनरं च विवर्धनं दुष्कर्मनाशनं चैव सुकर्मसिद्धिं भवेत् आसिदं सदये कार्यं नवग्रहभयापहं दुःस्वप्ननाशनं चैव सुस्वप्नफलदायकम् सर्वशान्तिकरं नित्यं हतवन्यासपुत्रम् अवेदाव्यं करं श्रीणां सौभाग्यदायकं सदाम् आयुरारोग्यमेश्वर्य पुत्रपौत्राभवर्धनम् अकामता श्रीविरावा जपामोक्षमवाप्नुयात् अवेदाव्यं सकामात् लभते चान्यजन्मनि भयं विघ्नं नाशये च पहारकम् सर्वबाधाप्रशमनं धर्मता काममोक्षदम् यं यं चिन्तयते कामं तं च प्राप्नोति निश्चितम् Shriyamavapnuyan Bhogakama Japeyo Ve Tasya Kama Falapradam Jape Chata Sasurascha Danapadyasna Vaishnavam Shevasya Siridam Devi Satyam Satyam Na Samshrayam Atakamya Jape Stanam
Tattayami Varanane
Sagareva Saritire Atavari Aralaye Shakti Devale Goste Sarva Devale Shubhe Vacheta Tatri Bhuleva Mate Vrindavane Tata Pavitre Nirmale Stane Nityanusthana Topiva Nirvedane Namonena Japametam Samachare Smashane Bhaya Bhumautu Vattamulantike Tata Siddhyanti Dotare Mule Chitta Vrikshasa Sanido Guru Putra Varamurthas Asya Siddhyanti Nanyata Shiva Karmani Sarvani Diksha Vrata Tapamsi Cha Samsaramalana Shartam Bhava Pashani Vrittaye
Guru Gitambase Sranam
Tadvadya Gurute Sada
Saeva
Saevacha Guru Sakshat Sada Brahma Vittaman Tasya Sanani Sarvani Pavitrani Na Samshaya
Sarva Shuddha Pavitraso Svabhavat
Yatra Tishtati Tatra Deva Gana Sarve Chaitre Pite Vasanti Asanasta Shayanova Ganshasi Stanvaranapi Ashvaruda Vajaruda Sukto Vajaruto Piva Sismasa Saranyani Guru Gita Japenatu Tasya Darshana Matrena Punarjamana Vidyate Samudre Chayata Toyam Shirikshiram Gate Gutam Vine Kumbe Atakashas Atama Paramatmani Tateva Jnani Jivatma Paramamani Liyate Ekena Ramate Jnani Yatra Tatra Divanisham Evam Vido Mahamukta Sarvada Vartate Buddha Tasya Sarva Prayanena Bhava Bhaktim Karotiyam
Sarva Sandeha Rahito Mukto Bhavati Parvati Bhakti Mukti Dvayam Tasya
Jiva Gricha Saraswati
Anjena Pranina Sarve Gurugita Japena Chu Sarva Siddhim Prabhavanti Mukti Muktim Na
Samshaya
Satyam Satyam Puna Satyam Dharmyam Sankhya Mayoditam
Guru Gita Samam Nasti Satyam Satyam Varanane Eko Deva Eka Dharma Eka Nishtha Parantapa Guru Parataram Nanyan Nasti Tattvam Guru Param Mata Danya Pita Danyo
Danyo Vamsha Kulam Tata
Danya Chavasura Devi Guru Bhakti Sudurlabha Shariram Indriyam Pranas Charta Swajana Bandhava Mata Pita Kulam Devi Guru Evana Samshaya Akalpa Jamana Kotya Japa Vrata Tapa Kriya Tatsarvam Safalam Devi Guru Santosha Matrata ये नराः गुरुसेवां न कुर्वन्ति सत्यं सत्यं वरानने ब्रह्म विष्णु महेशाश्च देवर्षि पितृकिन्नराः अनेपि मुनयो जनाः गुरुभाव परं तीर्थम् अन्यतीर्थं निरर्थकम् सर्वतीर्थाश्रयो देवी पारं दुष्टं च वर्तते
यप्येन जयमाप्नोति चानन्तफलमाप्नुयात् हीनकर्म त्यजन् सर्वं सानानि च
रमाणि च जपमीनासनं कुर्वन् हीनकर्म फलप्रदम् गुरुगीतां प्रयाणेव सङ्गमेवोपसङ्गते
यपय्ययम् अवाप्नोति मरणे
मुक्तिदायकम् सर्वकर्म च सर्वत्र गुरुमुद्रास्य सिद्ध्यति इदं राजनुवाचम्
नौवाग्रे कथितं मया सुगोप्यं च प्रयत्नेन मम त्वं च
प्रियात्विते स्वामिमुख्य गणेशारे विष्णुवादिनां च पार्वती मनसापि न वक्तव्यं सत्यं सत्यं वदाम्यहम् अतीव भगवचिताय श्रद्धावद्युक्ताय च प्रवक्तव्यमिदं देवी मम मनसि सदा प्रिये अभक्ते वञ्चके दुर्ते पाकने नास्तिके नरे मनसापि न वक्तव्या गुरुगीता करार्चना समुद्रानेकमन्त्रं ब्रह्मादिदेवमुनिपूजितसिद्धमन्त्रं दारिद्र्यदुःखभवरोगविनाशमन्त्रं वन्दे महाभयं गुरुराजमन्त्रम् इति श्रीस्कन्दपुराणे उत्तरखण्डेश्वर पार्वती संवादे गुरुगीता समाप्ता श्री गुरुदेव चरणार्पणमस्तु नित्यानन्दाय गुरवे शिष्यसंसारहरिणे
भक्तकार्यैकदेहाय
नमस्ते चित्सदात्मने निर्वासनं निराकाङ्क्षं सर्वदोषविवर्जितं निरालम्बं निरातङ्कं नित्यानन्दं नमाम्यहम् निर्ममं निराङ्कारं समलोष्टास्मकञ्चनं समादुःखसुखमधीरम् अवधूतं नमाम्यहम्
शीनमात्मानम्
एकविघ्नाय तत्त्वता वितरागभयक्रोधं नित्यानन्दं नमाम्यहम् नाहं देहो न मे देहो जीवनामामि चेत् एवं विघ्नाय सन्तुष्टम् अवधूतं नमाम्यहम्
समस्तं कल्पनामात्रम्
नियममुक्ता सनातनम् इति विज्ञाय सन्तृप्तं नित्यानन्दं नमाम्यहम् यानग्निदग्नकर्माणां कामसङ्कल्पवर्जितं हेयोपादेयहीनं त्वम् अवधूतं नमाम्यहम् स्वभावेनैव यो योगी सुखं भोगं न वञ्चति यदृष्टालभसन्तुष्टं नित्यानन्दं नमाम्यहम् नैव निन्दा प्रशंसाभ्यां यस्य विक्रियते मनः कामक्रीडमामानम् आवधूतं नमाम्यहम् नित्यं जाग्रत् पूज्यं सदा पूर्णं अखण्डानन्दविग्रहं स्वप्रकाशं चिदानन्दं नित्यानन्दं नमाम्यहम् निष्कलं निष्क्रियं शान्तं निर्मलं परममृतं गणेशपुरीवसेनम् अवधूतं नमाम्यहम् योगपूर्णं तपोमूर्तिं प्रेमपूर्णं सुदर्शनं ज्ञानपूर्णं कृपामूर्तिं नित्यानन्दं नमाम्यहम् दुर्जना सज्जनो भूयात् सज्जना शान्तिमाप्नुयात् शान्तो मुच्येत बन्धेभ्यो मुक्तासंज्ञान् विमोचयेत् स्वस्ति प्रजाभ्यः परिपालयन्ताम् न्यायेन मार्गेण नमहि महिषान् गोब्राह्मणेभ्यः शुभमस्तु नित्यम् लोकाः समस्ताः सुखिनो भवन्तु काले वर्षतु पर्जन्यः पृथिवी शाश्वतशालिनी शोभरहितो ब्रह्मणः सन्तु निर्भयाः सर्वे भवन्तु सुखिनः सर्वे सन्तु निरामयाः सर्वे भद्राणि पश्यन्तु मा कश्चित् दुःखभाग् भवेत् सर्वस्तु दुर्गाणि सर्वो भद्राणि पश्यतु सर्वकामानवाप्नोतु सर्वसर्वत्र स्वस्ति मात्रौत विद्वेणोऽस्तु स्वस्ति गोभ्यो जगते पुरुषेभ्यः विश्वं सुभूतं सुविदात्रं नोऽस्तु योगेव दृशेमसूर्यम् ॐ शान्ति 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 आरती करुं सदा गुरु की करुं सदा गुरु के प्यारे गुरु बारकी आरती करुं गुरुवर की आरती करुं सदा गुरु की करुं सदा गुरु के प्यारे गुरु बारकी आरती करुं गुरुवर की जय गुरुदेव अमल विनाशी ज्ञानरूप करते वासी जय गुरुदेव अमल विनाशी ज्ञानरूप करते वासी
पग पग पर देते प्रकाश जैसे
किरणे बिना करके आरती करूं गुरुवर की आरती करूं सदा गुरु की करूं सदा गुरु के प्यारे गुरुवर की आरती करूं
भेद बताया
आवागमन विमुक्त कराया
भेदों बीच अभेद बताया
आवागमन विमुक्त कराया
धन्य हुए हम पाकर
ब्रह्म ज्ञान निरंतर की आरती करो गुरुवर की आरती करो सद्गुरु की करो सद्गुरु की प्यारे गुरुवर की आरती करो गुरुवर की
करो कृपा सद्गुरु जगतार
सतपथ दर्शन जाति निवारण
करो कृपा सद्गुरु जगतार
सतपथ दर्शन जाति निवारण जय हो
नित्य ज्योति दिखलाने
वाले लीला करके आरती करो
He Nath Narayana Vasudeva. He Nath Narayana Nata Narayana Vasudeva.
Shri Krishna Govinda Hare Murare He Nata Narayana Vasudeva.
Nata Narayana Vasudeva.
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 He Nata Narayana Vasudeva.
Krishna Govinda Hare Murari. He Nata Narayana Vasudeva.
Shri Krishna Govinda Hare Murare He Nata Narayana Vasudeva.
Krishna Govinda Hare Murari. He Nata Narayana Vasudeva.
Shri Krishna Govinda Hare Murare He Nata Narayana Vasudeva.
Nata Narayana Vasudeva.
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 He Nata Narayana Vasudeva.
Shri Krishna Govinda Hare Murari. Nata Narayana Vasudeva.
Shri Krishna Govinda Hare Murare He Nata Narayana Vasudeva.
Shri Krishna Govinda
Hare
Murari. Nata Narayana Vasudeva.
Shri Krishna Govinda Hare Murare He Nata Narayana Vasudeva.
Nata Narayana Vasudeva.
He Nata Narayana Vasudeva.
Nata Narayana Vasudeva.
He Nath Narayana Vasudeva.
Hey Nath Narayana Vasudeva.
He Nath Narayana Vasudeva.
Shri Krishna Govinda Hare Murari. Nath Narayana Vasudeva.
Shri Krishna Govinda Hare Murari. He Nath Narayana Vasudeva.
Shri Krishna Govinda Hare Murari. Hey Nath Narayana Vasudeva.
Shri Krishna Govinda Hare Murari. He Nath Narayana Vasudeva.
Hey Nath Narayana Vasudeva.
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 He Nath Narayana Vasudeva.
Shri Krishna Govinda Hare Murari. Hey Nath Narayana Vasudeva.
Shri Krishna Govinda Hare Murari. He Nath Narayana Vasudeva.
Shri Krishna Govinda Hare Murari. Hey Nath Narayana Vasudeva.
Shri Krishna Govinda Hare Murari. He Nath Narayana Vasudeva.
Hey Nath Narayana Vasudeva.
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 He Nath Narayana Vasudeva.
Shri Krishna Govinda Hare Murari. Hey Nath Narayana Vasudeva.
Shri Krishna Govinda Hare Murari. He Nath Narayana Vasudeva.
Shri Krishna Govinda Hare Murari. Hey Nath Narayana Vasudeva.
Hare Murari. He Nath Narayana Vasudeva.
Hey Nath Narayana Vasudeva.
He Nath Narayana Vasudeva.
नारायण वासुदेव
हे नाथ 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 नारायण वासुदेव
श्री कृष्ण गोविंद हरे मुरारे हे नाथ नारायण वासुदेव
श्री कृष्ण गोविंद हरे मुरारे हे नाथ नारायण वासुदेव
श्री कृष्ण गोविंद हरे मुरारे हे नाथ नारायण वासुदेव
श्री कृष्ण गोविंद हरे मुरारे हे नाथ नारायण वासुदेव
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 श्री कृष्ण गोविंद हरे मुरारे हे नाथ नारायण वासुदेव
श्री कृष्ण गोविंद हरे मुरारे हे नाथ नारायण वासुदेव
श्री कृष्ण गोविंद हरे मुरारे हे नाथ नारायण वासुदेव
श्री कृष्ण गोविंद हरे मुरारे हे नाथ नारायण वासुदेव
हे नाथ नारायण वासुदेव
हे नाथ नारायण वासुदेव
हे नाथ नारायण वासुदेव
हे नाथ नारायण वासुदेव हे नाथ
नारायण वासुदेव
हे नाथ नारायण वासुदेव
हे नाथ नारायण वासुदेव
हे नाथ नारायण वासुदेव
श्री कृष्ण गोविंद हरे मुरारे हे नाथ नारायण वासुदेव
ओ श्री कृष्ण गोविंद हरे मुरारे हे नाथ नारायण वासुदेव
श्री कृष्ण गोविंद हरे मुरारे हे नाथ नारायण वासुदेव
श्री कृष्ण गोविंद हरे मुरारे हे नाथ नारायण वासुदेव
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 श्री कृष्ण गोविंद हरे मुरारे हे नाथ नारायण वासुदेव
श्री कृष्ण गोविंद Yana our Sunday morning satsang, which happens to be our farewell satsang with Gurudev for this visit. Satsang. We come Sadhgurunad Maharaj Ki Jai. Good morning, everyone, and welcome to our Sunday morning satsang. Take two, here with Gurudev at Shanti Mandir, Walden. As I mentioned earlier, it's a moment ago. It happens to be our farewell satsang for this particular visit. And when we think of farewells and comings and goings, they're simply just a comma. They're not a full stop. They're just a comma. And as they always say in Hindi, fir milenge until we meet again. So it's not goodbye, it's just that little comma, and then we all come and go together in this journey of sadhana, in our journey of the yoga. When we come to satsang, satsang is where we devote time to practice. And we devote time to honoring that divinity, that consciousness, if we call it God, whatever that name is that we associate ourselves to it, but that is where we come and we feel it, we experience it. It's not just something up in the sky, but we actually feel it. We feel it when we chant. We allow that love to be invoked. We allow that experience of touching that eternal flame. It's not just an idea, but we see it if we close our eyes. We feel it, and it permeates everything that we do. And when I think of the days ahead or the months ahead, there are two words that I look forward to taking with me and carrying with me. One is the word, and it's not just a word, so I'm going to go into that for a minute, is guru. So when we think about where we are right now, we're at the end of November. December is just next week. And here at the ashram in New York, the East Coast, it starts to get darker earlier. It starts to get a little cooler. It starts to get colder. But if we hold this word, not just as a word, but as a presence, guru, from darkness to light, we can hold it for that analogy. We can hold it for where we've been recently with all of the turmoil and where we want to go. So again, from darkness to light. We can think of it with the COVID, with the virus. We can think of it as extinguishing that which is bringing suffering to others, so may it distinguish the virus or dissolve the virus. So whatever it is, but that presence is palpable in those four letters. So not only is it something that has the power to go from darkness to light, but we also honor that within ourselves through our sadhana, guru, the inner guru. And then we've been very, very fortunate in these past weeks, past months, to have the physical form of the guru with Gurudev in residence, bestowing so many wonderful teachings, wisdom, knowledge, experience, so tangible so that it gives the individual, the seeker, something to hold on to, and then to be able to actually embrace that, let that take residence in us so that wherever we go, we carry that experience and that presence of guru. The second word is Shakti, and it's one that we all talk about. I mean, these are words that we hear often on the path. But the word Shakti, which means energy or consciousness, whatever name we want to give it, or however we've developed that relationship. But what's most important is that we develop that inner relationship to that energy, which makes us able to do everything that we do, to see, to hear, to move, to be creative, to walk, to talk. It gives life to this very body. So without that, Baba would say this body is a corpse. So we must honor that Shakti and think of it not just as some inert, whatever we do, it's just an inert object. There is life in every single thing that we see and that we feel. So to remember this word and to honor this word at all times, Shakti, energy. And just to drive that point home a little bit, several weeks ago, there was an auction in New Paltz, and at the time, it was something that for some reason caught my attention. So driving through the streets over there, it was just before the November 2nd elections, so I think it might have been a couple of weeks prior to that. But if you drove around the towns, Gardner and New Paltz, you would come across all these beautiful, bright-colored peace signs. Okay, so peace signs. And all of them were made and created by many different artists. So there was altogether like 32 pieces of these beautiful art pieces. And each of them had different messages on them. So some of them had something about love or natural or be kind or so many other ones. And with children, and there was just, it was a smorgasbord of just this feeling of color, personality, messages, and it came at a point when, you know, when that flame is like flickering, and in our times today, those flames have been flickering. So when I drove through, and every time I got out somewhere, whether it was a health food store or out giving food to the Indian restaurant or wherever, the bank, all these signs were everywhere, and I was just like, oh, it'd be so wonderful to have just a few of those over here on the land. Can we just get a few of those? So at one point, I had, Gurudev happened to be with me on one of those errands, and I said, would you just mind, I was in the driving seat, and I said, would you just mind stepping out for 1 second and just taking a quick picture of that piece of paper that's next to those pieces so we can follow it up and see if we can try to have those here. And it turned out to be an auction, and the auction is still going on till November 26th. But it became kind of a cat and mouse thing of trying to get in touch with somebody. They hadn't uploaded the pieces yet, wasn't sure which artists were gonna let them be for sale and go for auction, or which ones were gonna maybe carry them back to their own homes. So it was a constant back and forth, back and forth. And finally, and then the weather started to get very windy. So then my concern was that, okay, we've done a few of them and we've bought them and we've put buy it now, and then a few of them were bids. And so it was just, we were in this waiting mode. And then the weather started to change and it got a bit windy, and I was thinking, okay, well now some of these can probably like go over and they're gonna get damaged, and we don't wanna bring our family members, our new layer of family members back home here damaged, so we need to try to, you know, secure these before something happens to them. So finally we got the call that we could go ahead and go pick up the pieces that we had already secured. And just bringing them here, I mean, for me it was like somebody could look at it and say, it's just a piece of wood, what's a big deal? But when you take the time to honor every single thing in creation, it speaks to you, you feel it. Nobody has to tell you, nobody has to tell you how to do it. You just follow that Shakti and you follow that guru, that inner guru, that principle, which makes everything sparkle, which makes everything nothing less than absolute magic. And so for all of us here, it's been wonderful, absolutely wonderful, having Gurudev in residence and being in the company of that grace. Baba's Shakti, Baba's grace, Gurudev's grace, Gurudev's Shakti, and every single person who has come here during this time. And also having all the visitors and everybody coming in and out, again, leaving their footprints, leaving their sorrow, leaving their joy, leaving their love, and just connecting to the temple, to Gurudev, one more darshan, one more prayer, one more wish, and one more offering to all that exists here. So I'm going to save all the gratitudes for after the program or towards the end of the satsang. So what we'll be doing now is hearing from Gurudev. And the one thing that I do want to also encourage everyone, all of the satsangs are on YouTube. So throughout the winter, throughout the months ahead, feel free to go there at any time and take refuge in his talks. Take refuge in the online study groups. Take refuge in the online workshops. Really fill your hearts and your minds with all of that nourishment. It's all there, and we can tap into it over and over and over again. So we'll hear from Gurudev now, and then we'll be chanting Krishna Govinda Govinda Gopala as our kirtan, and then we'll have some announcements and gratitudes, and then we'll conclude, as always, with our Danya Danya and Joda Say Joda. So again, thank you all for your presence here, and for all of you who are just in the lens of the camera. Sadhgurunad Maharaj Ki Jai.
Muktanandaya Gurave Shishya Samsara Hadine Bhakta Kavya Kadehaya Namaste Chitsadatmane Om Namah Shivaya Gurave Satchidananda Murtaye Nishprapanchaya Shantaya Niralambaya Tejase Om Sahana Vavatu Sahanau Bhunaktu Sahaviryam Karvavahai Tejas Vinavaditamastu Ma Vidvishavahai Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Sadhgurnath Maharaj Ki Jai. With great respect and love, I would like to welcome everyone to Satsang, offline and online. We offer salutations to the Guru, to the Baba, and to everyone who is a part of Satsang everywhere. In the evening Arati and the Shiva Mahimna, which we sing at all ashrams all around the world, not only in Baba Muktananda's tradition, but in all traditions. Most of our prayers end with a prayer of forgiveness, Kshama Prarthana, asking the deity whom we have worshipped, whom we have sung to, whom we have chanted to, that Ityesha Vangmayi Puja Srimad Shankara Padayoho Arpita Tena Deveshaha Priyatam Me Sada Shivaha Yadaksharam Padam Bhrashtam Matrahinam Chayad Bhavet Tat Sarvang Kshamyatam Deva Pasida Parameshwara. Many of us sing this every day and probably don't even ponder about what I have just sung. In the verse before that, often in any ceremony, we have flowers and rice, and the priest gives it to everybody present, or at least to the main couple, and it's offered to the deity. Nana Sugandhi Pushpani Yata Kalod Bhavani Cha Pushpanjalir maya dattaha griyatam parameshwara parameshwari. These various fragrant flowers according to the season, please accept, O God, Goddess, this which I offer to you with folded hands. And all of this that I have done is my worship at your feet. And I again offer this, O Lord of Lords, and in this case it's to Shiva. And the prayer of forgiveness is, as I have sung, I may have a letter, a verse, a beat, a meter. I might have gone here and there. So I seek forgiveness, O Lord of Lords, and bless me, O Lord. So, as I shared last week, it's 40 years and more of continuing in this tradition of the sages of the Guru. And I thought I also should seek forgiveness from everybody. Because sometimes what I say and what you hear might be misunderstood, might be misrepresented. Because I know I am difficult. I know we are all difficult. We don't want to be difficult, but sometimes it's just the tendency of the human being that it happens. So as we pray to the God and goddesses, all of you, anywhere, if you've ever misunderstood me, I would like that you understand me. I have not misunderstood you, even if you think sometimes I have misunderstood you. I was on a FaceTime call with somebody the other day, and I got the call for lunch. So I said to them, I have to go. So they called me some days later and said, you were in a bad mood that day. I said, what? They said, yeah, I got it. You were in a bad mood. So I said, okay. I had no explanation to give other than to ask, when was I in a bad mood? Yes, I know I have moods. I have mood swings. Depends on the chocolate, the tea, the coffee, and all of that. But that's my personal matter. So he said, no, it's okay. And I thought about it. All I did was said, I need to hang up is because I need to go to lunch. That's all. And that in their mind, that person has done that to me at other times too. I know you were angry, so I'm like, okay. When I sit here and give a talk, I come with thoughts, with ideas. And then whoever Devyani or whoever the first person is puts more thoughts and more ideas. And the audience, of course, has lots of, how many million thought vibrations, for those of you who remember from the Chandi part. And some people are sitting watching, rather than watching the satsang, they are busy watching often what else is going on. Nitishwari just shared with me, for these past few months that we've had satsang, everybody's had to call in and say, I'm coming. Or call in and say, I was coming, but I am not coming. And some people call on Sunday morning at 9 o'clock, or I guess I sometimes hear Devyani saying, oh, so-and-so is not coming. And then somebody who wanted to come and didn't come or couldn't bring somebody, they see an empty seat and they get worked up and upset. That why was it that I was so-and-so was denied? And so how do you begin to even tell them that one of your own who had promised to come at 9 a.m. got up? And this I've never understood. I've said sometimes at satsang in the morning. Because for me, when we have an appointment, a satsang or a meeting or whatever, you wake up, you get going. And I think Courtney yesterday, was it you? Was it yesterday or today? I don't know. She said to me, are you ready? I said, once the mind knows that this is what I have to do, I said, there is no second choice. And I think she looked at me like, what? And I knew I didn't have time to expound on that in that moment. What we do is we live always with doubt. We always live with will it not? Santeshwari shared a quote from Albert Einstein. It says, God does not play dice with the universe. I'm sure everybody's rolled a dice. We've all played some game which has a dice. So Albert Einstein said, God doesn't play dice with the universe. Because often, some people say, if Baba wants, if the Guru wants, if the Shakti wants. And I say to them, what if you want or don't want? I don't do anything. It's all what Baba wants. And I, in my mind, say, star, hash, pound, or those things that you can't say. When it comes time to things that you want in your life, in that moment you don't say what God wants, what Baba wants, or what. I tell people, you stand in a meal line and you get pushed away. Do you then in that moment say, okay, God doesn't want me to eat, so I'll walk away? No, you get angry. You get upset. You say, why? Why did the food just run out now when I am at the line? Why in that moment don't you think that God doesn't want me to eat? So in these 2 months, it's been interesting to hear all these various conversations. I am not privy to all of them, but every so often I walk by. And I hear the anger sometimes, or the upset, or the other person just saying, I'm so sorry, I just can't make it this morning. Or I woke up and I felt sick. That I haven't understood yet. I don't know if there's a doctor in the room, but I woke up and I felt sick. Why don't we ask ourselves, as we go through our day, what am I doing through my day? Unless you have a condition, unless you have a situation, it's a different matter. But interesting anyway. Thursday, somebody sent me this beautiful rose, tube rose, Rajnigandha. Comes from tropical countries. And for those who've never smelled the fragrance, it's worth the fragrance. And most flowers of these days have no fragrance. But this still does. It just came to me, and it was just amazing. Nitish and I had gone out, and I came back, and I forgot I was up. And as I walked up the stairs, I smelled it. I thought, all of a sudden, memories of being with Baba, because all those who wanted favors with Baba, especially in India, knew that you could bring him fragrant flowers. And for those of you who sat in his courtyard, ladies especially, remember him throwing flowers. And so people knew that if they wanted Baba's attention in the 1,000 people, they had to bring him his favorite flowers and offer it to him, especially expensive ones, because, fragrant flowers are expensive, like these tuberoses, I'm sure, are expensive. So Baba would look at you, go, And if that person wanted to do a quick deal, he'd be ready in his mind to tell Baba, these flowers aren't free. There is a purpose. I want your attention. But again, coming to the Guru, it's not always easy that your deal happens, because in that moment your mind can go blank. And you remember flowers, you remember deal, but deal? What deal? Because I often think it's so stupid of us as humans to think, I come to a great sage to make a small, stupid deal with a flower in Indian rupees would be worth 1,000 rupees, maybe $10 approximately. And I ask myself, when will we get it that all I have to do is simply offer these flowers? And a prayer that sarve bhavantu sukhinaha, sarve santu niramaya, sarve bhadrani pashyantu, ma kaschid dukkha bhag bhavet. It's a prayer we sing in the universal prayer. May all beings be content. May there be no sickness. May all see auspicious sights. May there be no suffering. And I think it's a wonderful mantra because ultimately we all, when we think about rolling the dice, Powerball, Mega Millions, stock markets, jobs, all of these in a way are dice rolling. Will I win? Will I not? We don't know. So all we can do is pray that may there be contentment and peace in life, because that is what is really, I think, necessary and important in life. So this past week, we've done many things, and as one of the things was getting ready for the satsangs in the upcoming year, so I was looking for something one day, and I found something from maybe 12 years ago that somebody had sent me. He's passed on now, Mr. Prem Chadda. Some book he had written on Baba's 25th Divya Diksha, which was in 1972. So August 1972, he wrote this book. And as I read the book through the week, I thought, okay, for this Sunday, it would be good to at least find things I like from what Baba said. Probably he took it he took it in 1972, so that's almost 38 years, if I'm correct. And so he would have taken it from before that. I think he said it was published for Baba's 60th birthday, which was in 1968. So sometime in the 60s, Baba said these things, which he translated into English, and so here we have. So I'd like to begin with a very funny one. It says, confluence of two egos is pleasure. The coming together of two egos is pleasure. Friction of two egos is pain. I loved it. I don't know if you do or not. I don't know if you understand it, but I hope you do. Meaning the two of us, whether it's God, Guru, and disciple, or human relations, friendships, whatever, when we come together as friends, it's so much fun. But when we are like this, I think it should be right. When we are like this, we all know this feeling, the skirmish, right? So the friction, as he calls it. And I can just imagine, because Baba sometimes had a very interesting way of explaining and expressing things. And for those of you who understand Hindi, and you can listen to his talk from the 60s, which are in Hindi, which has no English translation, it is hilarious. Because Baba was, how would I say? There's a word for that. I would say raw, candid. His audience was known to him, and he didn't care if you ever came back or not, because all he wanted to do was tell you the truth, and there was no sugarcoating. So sometimes he would laugh himself, because he would find it so funny, the expression of what was coming out of him. And the audience, some of whom I know, were barristers, for those of you who understand the English tradition of law, judges, businessmen, people well-to-do and well-respected in society, and who sat there and listened to him. And you could just tell the reciprocation on both sides, Baba and his audience, and the fun they would all have. And Baba was Baba. Baba wore a small piece of cloth. He wasn't dressed up like in the pictures that we see. Strange hair, strange beard. Sometimes he would sit and twirl his beard. There's pictures and videos of him like that. And I am of the belief that till 1961, for as long as Bhagavan Nityananda remained alive in his form, Baba didn't play the role or act the role of the Guru. He remained the disciple. So you don't hear much of Baba in the early days, other than people who came to visit him, had conversations to understand what the Guru Bhagavan Nityananda had said. His organization which was called Sri Gurudev Ashram at the time, was formed in 1962, a year after Bhagwan left his body. So even while Bhagwan lived, he did not create an organization. He did not create the ashram. He lived in that space, yes, but he remained as the disciple. So a year after Bhagwan passed, slowly people began to come to him. He created this ashram. And then slowly, I remember as a, 5-year, 6-year-old, a small book for 50 paisa at that time, 50 cents Indian at that time, a book, Meditation, was published, Dhyana. And I told my mother, I want the book. She said, what are you going to do with it? I couldn't read yet. But I told her, 50 paisa at that time was a big amount of money, 50 cent Indian, And I, for days, chased her for this half a rupee. And one day she said, okay, buy it. Of course, I was going to an English medium school, so I said, I can read English, but I could only read A, B, C, D, E, F, G. Couldn't read sentences or stuff like that. So anyway, I got it, and the book stayed with me for a long time. I'm sure it's somewhere in the universe now. A small, small book written by Swami Prajnananda Amma. So that was the beginning, I would say, of Baba slowly sharing his expression, and these words are from that time. The next one is the load of worldliness. Having obtained a human birth in this world, isn't it a waste of effort to do no more than carry the load of worldliness? Having obtained a human body, what have you done for the highest good other than eat, sleep, copulate, and live in fear? You have not so far reflected objectively on why you came into this world. For you, resting in peace has meant worship of duality, of attachment and aversion, of love and lack of love. Now again, you have to think. Baba Muktananda often stressed upon this, that he sang a poem that says, Naratana Paya Jatana Karayado. Aisi Uttama Yoni Padarata Nahi Mile Bharambar. You'll find this in his talks throughout. That you have attained this human form, this human birth. Take care of it. Because will you attain such a good human birth again? It's not guaranteed. So therefore he says here, don't simply carry the weight of this life that we live in, of getting up, just gathering, collecting and accumulating. But think about, what can I do for the highest good of society? And we have to think of this. Yesterday, a whole bunch of different people visited us, and we chatted about the current world situations, and which we won't discuss here because publicly we shouldn't bring up these subjects because they are very dicey. But I always tell people, in conversation, we must converse why we are here. Why do we find ourselves in the place we find ourselves today? All I can say is we are responsible as a society for where we find ourselves. No politician, no businessman is responsible for where we find ourselves, but we as a consumer, as a society, are responsible. And if Prabhupada got a call yesterday or not, a young girl he's been counseling called last night, excited at 8:30, 8:40 p.m. after our kirtan, to say that she got the Rhodes Scholarship. And she said, you know what it is? I said, I know of it. Then I looked it up immediately after we hung up. And she said, I have been accepted to Oxford. And what I want to share here is the excitement in her speech, in her voice, and even more importantly, is her connection to God. She's probably, 20, 22, I think, not so old. She comes from a family that's been associated. She's either the 5th or 6th generation. Born, brought up here in California, USA. And she said that in her whatever year, the professor told her, you are smart and you can do well in life. So first of all, we thank that professor who gave that thought to that young student, who then continued pursuing. And then Prabodha became a counselor along the way, because she all of a sudden decided to study law, because she was studying environmental science at UC Santa Cruz. And I met her a few years ago at her home, and she came at, I think it was 2 o'clock, and we sat for an hour, and I just sat and listened to her talk about the hypocrisy of human beings who talk about the planet and all environment and all of that, and do nothing. I said, I totally understand and relate to what you are saying, because I deal with such people all the time. And she said, but I want to make a difference upon this earth. So as she spoke, she said, I have prayed to God to get me, to a good place. I don't know if it was particularly for the Rhodes Scholarship. And she said, and I know God listened. And then I said to her, make sure you call Prabodha and thank him. She said, yes, I am aware that the positive vibrations of everyone helps. She said, that's why I called you also, because in case you were praying for me. So thank you also. So, and then her father got on for a moment, became emotional, and said, all of this is grace. He said, we are blessed. So when we hear this, what Baba Muktananda says, having obtained this human body, what have you done for the highest good? And so each one of us might think, what can I do? I live in a small flat, or I live in a small apartment, I just live in this place. But wherever it is that we are living, we can think. As he says, reflect objectively on why you came into this world. Don't simply worship duality or get caught in attachment or aversion, lack of love or I have love. The next it goes on to is the mind, uncontrolled mind. Basic cause of all the evil that we see today is the uncontrolled mind. When mind is indisciplined, one loses the power of correct perception. As a consequence, he strays from the path of right perception and right conduct. Mistakes falsehood for truth, vice for virtue, and injustice for justice, thereby not only becoming unhappy himself, but also leading others on misguided paths and making them miserable. It's perfect for today, I think. A person whose mind has been purified, who has attained supreme knowledge through yoga, will never ask anyone to act irresponsibly and violently harming another. So for all of you who think of how do we find ourselves in the place we find ourselves in, Baba says here, it is the uncontrolled, indisciplined mind. One loses the power of correct perception and so strays away from the path of right perception and right conduct and mistakes falsehood for truth. So when you wonder, when you ask, what's going on? Why is this happening? We have to realize for every uncontrolled, undisciplined mind, my theory is very simple. If I want to convert one person to be a good human being, if I want to convert one person into being a good human being, it takes 100 human beings and everything else in nature to make that one person good. But if I want to take 100 of the wrong path, it only needs one. Don't ask me how I came up with this formula, but I know that this is somewhere I'm right in my calculation. It's the help of Umesh Nagarkate, our mathematician, right? But somewhere I know this is right. That if I want to make a room full of people understand that there is truth in this universe, we have to break out into small groups of 3 or 5 with one leader, group leader, explaining to them why. But if we want to take them all to the wrong way, the entire room just needs one strong voice, and they say, yeah! But you tell them the truth and they go, I'm not so sure if you're right. We all know this. And I'm not the only one who feels this way. So how do we fix this? I said to my audience yesterday, we need principled, आप लोग क्या बोले थे? Ethical. They use the word, I think, ethical. The Hindi word is nek. We need people of principle, people of ethics. Baba calls it pure conduct. Purity of conduct and behavior keeps the heart pure. Do not hanker after realization. If you have completely surrendered, who is left to be realized? If your heart is pure, realization will automatically be attracted towards you because God dwells within you. If you surrender to Him in your heart, you will become Him. So every time a wrong, a negative, an evil thought, feeling, emotion arises, get rid of it. Don't feed it. Don't foster it. And that's what we often do. Because as soon as we foster it, then we gather all those kinds of individuals with those kinds of thoughts and those kinds of emotions and those kinds of feelings. I like the ashram. Then we find all those people who like the ashram. I like the people of the ashram. Then we find all those people who will tell you how the people of the ashram are good. I like the food at the ashram. Then you'll find all those people who will tell you how the food of the ashram is good. Then you'll feel, I have the right feelings because it's not just me, it's all these people also who feel the feeling. I like Devyani. So then you'll find all those people who say, yes, Devyani is good. She works hard. She puts on all these online satsang. She manages it. She got me in last time when even there was no seat. Now we go to the opposite pendulum. I don't like the ashram. And you find all those people, yeah, you're right. I don't like the ashram either. They're always giving us rules and regulations and disciplines and what to do and what not to do. Shh, quiet. And so you find that group of people. Because now you have gone down that track. And then you go to a website, you go to the, why you have left yoga, why you've left meditation, because people like that. Farting is what I just did, just in case you didn't understand. Because that's undigested food that needs to be released. Both sides exist. It's the world. There's a positive and there is the negative. Food is always Indian. Food is always spicy. Food is always, there's no raw fruits. There's no raw salads. There's no raw vegetables. And Devyani, oh my God, she's always controlling, telling us what to do, where to go, who to talk to, who to be with. I tried to do this and do that. And there are people in this room I can point to and say, you've been on both sides of the scale. And some days, like Michael Shingleton, Monday, Wednesday, Friday, you realize. Tuesday, Thursday, Saturday, Sunday, you are unrealized. So you're negative. So on the days you are realized, I just saw his picture yesterday, so I remembered him. On the days you realize the ashram is wonderful, the ashram is flowing, the ashram is perfect. On days you are not realized, don't worry, we living in the ashram go through these mood swings too, because you help us sometimes to look at how we should better ourselves. I always tell people, a sage walks through a town, people welcome him with flowers. You know, Swamiji Aage, Swamiji Aage, come. And he is like, oh, thank you, God, oh, thank you, God. And then he goes to another village and people throw rocks. Get out of here, we don't want, beggars like you. And they throw stones at him. And he says, oh Lord, you are so funny. Some places you welcome me with flowers, and some places you welcome me with stones and rocks. We are not there yet. We want to throw rocks back at those who throw rocks at us. And those who throw flowers, we say salutations to you, my dear child. Come. But the sage says, salutations, my dear child, to both. Those who like and those who don't like. You have to come to that place of of equanimity, of pure conduct, as Baba says. And if your heart is pure, automatically all will be attracted, because ultimately that dwells within. So how do we come to this place? Baba says, accept life cheerfully. No matter what the dice rolls. Cheryl here brings us desserts. Sometimes, well, hers is most of the times perfect, but you know how it is. Sometimes a cookie is a little bit unbaked. It hasn't happened yet, mummies, Sometimes it's overbaked. But it happens. It's Dave's fault. He touched the oven as he walked by. Or as Alva used to say, he'd open the door to look. Or he said that as his wife got better at baking, he didn't get crumbs because there was no broken cookies. So he told me that you get all the cookies, I don't get any. So he said, as I walk by the tray, I break a few. Because Jean doesn't want to bring you broken ones. She only wants to bring you the whole good ones. And now she's getting better at baking, so she doesn't break or none break. So he said, as I walk by the tray, I break, so she leaves them home for me. That's accepting life cheerfully, or making life work for you. However you want to look at it. So Baba says, a person who smilingly accepts and endures the pains and pleasures of life as results of his past karma ultimately becomes free from all impurities and faults. Therefore, accept life as it is, cheerfully. If you really and truly wish to be wealthy, earn the wealth of Shivanama Smarana, the wealth of remembering the name of God. If you wish to renounce the feeling of mine and thine. If you wish to merge into something, merge with the highest in the nirvikalpa state of samadhi. So how can we bring ourselves to this place? Smilingly accept and endure the pain and pleasure of life. I would say it's not easy. no person who tells me that I have done this, do I believe them. Because those who have done it, then don't say anything. There's nothing to say. Because they are in that space. Flower comes, stone comes. But till we say that, you know what, I'm really in a place where I'm even, I'm like, yeah, sure. Because if you are still seeing duality, that I accept evenness, or I am in an even place, you're not there yet. Because when you're there is no further discussion. You turn your GPS off because you have arrived. Correct? Your GPS is not directing you anymore or telling you to do a legal U-turn or rerouting or anything, because it says you have arrived. And if you go away from the destination, it reroutes itself to take you back to the destination. And I think sadhana works like this too. Of course, in sadhana, normally you don't go away from the destination, but in case you go away from the destination, the inner guide does something. I found a quote yesterday. It says, do not decrease the goal, increase the effort. If you ever feel the weight of karma is too much, I can't understand, I can't do, I cannot bear this anymore. The person says, increase the effort. Instead of saying, I'm going to take a break, which is what we would normally do. I'm 2 weeks, I'm not going to satsang now. I'm not going to meditate, I'm not going to chant, I'm going to give God a break. It's very easy to do. Here in the ashram, we blow the conch so everybody knows you have 5 minutes to get to the temple. It's that thing, you know, everybody else is going, I'll stay home. Everybody else is going, I have so much important stuff to do. I am the only one who's really doing everything anyway. Everybody else is doing nothing. We play with our own minds. Go. I mean, chant is 1 hour in the morning, 1 hour in the evening. You still have 22 hours to do the nonsense. What was it that Baba said in the beginning? To carry the load of worldliness. You have 22 hours to carry the load of worldliness, and 2 hours, maximum 3. So you're still left with 21 hours. Yet, we are so funny. We sometimes trick ourselves to say, you know, while everybody else is in the temple, I can get a lot done. And then we say, God, when I was praying, you were not looking at me. And he said, well, there was so many else to look at because they come every single day. So Baba says, no peace comes without true knowledge. Man wastes life in empty wanderings and repents much at the time of death. But alas, the time is lost. Death snatches away in a moment things to which he clung all his life. Abandoning them at the feet of Sri Guru, he attains liberation easily. So for all of us, whether we chant, whether we do japa, whether we do meditation, whatever it is, the sadhana, the practice we do, along with all of that, the scriptures talk about jnana and vijnana. That knowledge must become alive in your life. Otherwise, it's words. Things we say, but we don't really mean it, neither do we understand what it actually is trying to tell us. And life is wasted. The example I use is of a hamster. It thinks it's doing a lot, but it's doing nothing. So we are also thinking, I am doing a lot. if really we are human beings who are smart, I don't think the phone or computer or whatever it is would have to put screen time. I don't know if it's on all phones, but I've seen it on iPhones. Screen time. That means how dumbed I have become, how dumb I have become, that the phone has to tell me that you've been on this for too long. And that phone has been made by a human being. Baba often said, the machine is only as smart as the human being who made it. Always remember this, the machine is only as smart as the human being who made it. Which means, or what he would want to say is that you are smarter than the device. We go, wow. But the sage is telling you, you are a bigger wow than that wow. Because death snatches away in a moment. I think now in this last 7-8 months, we've been more aware of death than ever. Death has always been there. If you look up statistics, more have died from other sicknesses than in the sickness of the last 8 months. But it's just that in the last 8 months, all of a sudden we've woken up. I don't want to die. I don't want to die. I don't want to die. You were going to die before also, you're going to die after also. Whether you take the vaccine or don't take the vaccine, or do the right thing, do the wrong thing, you're not going to be here forever. We're not going to find a mummy of you alive. Because I think Egypt, they found some mummies, so that's how somewhere in the news, I don't know the details, because I don't read news that don't, what am I going to do with a mummy? So I said, okay, my mother is gone, so it's okay, mummy is gone. And it's funny, right? Isn't it? I laugh at all this when I read, because I think we do such funny things, and we read and we go, what is the sage trying to say? Death snatches away in a moment things to which he clung all his life. Old people tell me, I want to go. And then they say, I want to get better. So I ask them, which is true? I want to go or I want to get better? Well, they said, if I get better, I want to live. If I don't get better, I want to go. I'm like, okay. So who do we negotiate there? With lawyers or with doctors? I don't know. Who do we say? Can you call 1-800-GOD and say, look, either make it better or take me. Which one you want to do? I think that's a good business, just came to me. Vinay is always thinking of ideas to make money. 1-800, how would it be? C-A-L? I think it will work. C-A-L-L, the 3, and then G-O-D. Yeah, that would. For all those of you looking, wondering, that's a good idea. Because people love this. Just call up and say, guess what? I'm having a problem. I don't want to take responsibility. I don't want to be blamed. But yet, I want the best of life. And the doctor has given me 3 months to live. But I want to negotiate if I can get 3 years. Because I've just begun. All of you elder people are so serious. Only the kids are laughing at this. Anyway. There was a lot, but these were only a few that, as I read through the pages, I thought applicable in our times, true for our times, and something that we could ponder over this. God is within you. You are His. He is yours. He is pure. He is perfect. He is protecting and guiding you. While attending to worldly duties, concentrate. Meditate on Him within yourself. Deepen your faith and devotion. This is knowledge. This is love. This is yoga. Supreme bliss can be obtained not by talking Vedanta, but by following its commands. The world badly needs one who believes in Vedanta and lives it. He who has seen not, or he who has not seen it, what can he or she say? And for those of you who've heard Baba Muktananda or read, and you realize that this was the essence of what he taught. That God which you seek is not out there, but within you. And that you are as much of that divinity as much as that divinity is yours. It is always protecting and guiding us. And so as long as we do our worldly duties, whatever it is that we need to do, concentrate, meditate, keep that faith and devotion, and that love, knowledge, all of this is yoga. And Baba believed in the fact that the teachings must be imbibed. We cannot just speak it, we cannot just say it. We cannot say Baba said, we cannot say the scriptures say. But it has to be, as you would say, one's own direct experience. Because if you have not seen that truth, if you've not experienced that truth, then what is there really to say? So I often share that we can't sit here and say, my guru was great, the path I follow is great, the teachings are great. But how I live, how my life is, what I do, it should be an expression of those teachings. Baba believed in the fact that we must, as much as possible, repeat the mantra, whatever our own mantra is, that all things, possessions that we own must reverberate with that mantra. So he says here, fill your heart for a while with purity and love. Experience for yourself the presence of God within and without. The bliss resulting from contemplation and worship of God will be yours. This is what Om Namah Shivaya means. This is what the God and Guru gives. This is the essence of all knowledge, the fruit of all devotion. This indeed is salvation. This is the teaching of all religions, the message of the scriptures. This is the meaning of self-realization. See the universe within yourself and yourself within the universe. Do not stand apart. Become a part of the universal spirit. So for all of us who stay aloof, who separate, who remain as other, if you watch any great sage from any tradition, you'll see the welcoming spirit of that sage. And I think we don't have to think that any one is better than the other. You will find that each sage, in his or her way, welcomed everyone and reminded everyone to think well of oneself, to think highly of oneself. To do well in life, but not with arrogance. To put forth effort and to be consistent in the effort that we put forth. And the sages must realize that as we go on in life, mistakes happen. And so therefore they said, Yadaksharam padam brashtam matrahinam chiyad bhave tat sarvam kshamyatam deva prasida parameshwara. When I speak, whenever I do something, maybe something, just like we hit the wrong button. Or sometimes for those of you drive, car goes into the wrong gear. But then we just correct. Steering, we steer wrong. Whatever it is that we do, we correct, course correction. So that's how, let us live life in this way. A life that's filled with gratitude, filled with love, filled with the right company, the right people, always stressing to take us in the right way. Society we find today divided, but remember, divided we not everybody's agreeing upon that. Huh? Only a few voices are saying fall, fall. United we? Good, at least that much you agree on. More of you agree on united we stand. And so, as soon as you hear somebody say, the ashram is not good, the world is not good, people are not good, yank them in and tell them, let me show you a different side of life. Let me bring you to the good people. Let me bring you to good company. Let me show you that people are nice. And in essence, that is what every human being wants. No person is in the dark because he or she chooses to be. We push them towards that part of life. So I tell each and every one of us in society, let us do our part to be the light. As soon as we feel the darkness is coming, let us find ways, means, methods. These times are very disturbing to each and every one of us. No matter how much knowledge, how much understanding, how much truth you may think you have. Unless you're really established in that experience of consciousness and vibrating that, then wonderful. But don't imagine that. But really let every single pore of you. As we began, I was reminded of a bhajan, I think it's by Eknath Maharaj, it's Guru Krupanjan Payo Mere Bhai Ram Bina Kachu Janat Nahi. I have received the collyrium of, or the lotion of Guru's grace. Wherever I look in the world, I see the Lord, I see Rama. Antar Rama, Bahar Rama, Jahan dekho so Rama hi Rama. When I look within myself, I see that divine. When I look outside, I see the divine. Wherever I look, I see the divine. Jagat Rama, Sovat Rama, Sapne me dekho to Raja hi Rama. In my waking state, in my sleep state, in my dream, what I experience is the divine. Eka janardani bhavahini ka janardani bhavahini ka. Last line क्या है? हाँ? जो देखो राम सखी का नहीं? Eknath says, my Guru has blessed me with this unique, amazing, however the word is that you want to use. That whoever I see Ram. I see God. In these last 2-3 months that I've been here, we have maybe 3 cats. I don't know who they belong to. We have a very distinct white pure milk white and a distinct black. And you see them royally walking up the ashram path. I have never seen the two of them together. But that's okay. But the confidence with which they walk, I think only if we as human beings could walk upon this earth so confidently. And one day the white cat and a little baby fawn were having a discussion. I'd just come back from my walk. I was sitting on the front porch of Srinivas. Cat was sitting by Navtaraj, and the deer, the baby deer, was a little bit over there, maybe 10 feet away. I don't know if the two had just crossed each other, what had happened. I didn't see that. But I saw the deer looking at the cat and the cat looking at the deer. And both making their own sounds to each other. And I am told animals communicate, they understand. Trees communicate, they understand. Plants communicate, they understand. It's only humans who don't communicate. We talk a lot, we make a lot of noise, but we do not communicate. Think about it. We only listen to answer. Because if we really listened, we would enjoy life. We would, as Baba says, put down that load of worldliness. And having attained this human body, we would think about the highest good and not just eat, sleep, copulate, and live in fear. We would objectively reflect on why, what is the purpose of my human life. Do good, be good. And as Devyani says then, do better, be better. So that possibility exists for each and every one of us. So, satsangs will continue. They don't stop. We just change locations. The camera, thanks to Prabodha and family, follow us everywhere. And as many over the last 2 months have said, thanks to Devyani for starting this way back. And in her lead have gone Bhaskar from Ganeshpuri and Navinji very recently on and off because he's very busy teaching. And then from Magod we do a little bit, we don't do too much because we are too many of us. So we don't understand social distancing, we don't understand masks, because we have 100 children. How do you tell the children? I tell them sit far away, so they go, okay. They move about a millimeter. I said, no, shoulder distance. So they say, Indians don't understand that. Whoa. They laugh for all Westerners who, when they first come to India, especially in the ashram magazines you'll read, the hall is full, the hall is packed, and an Indian just walks in, and then that space, between the two people, the Indian just sits down, and a little bit here, a little bit there, and that's it. And the Westerner doesn't understand. There was no space. Yes, there was space. The Westerner says, but that space was mine. And the Indian says, what do you mean mine? It's all God's. They say learn in New York what is a split second. It's when the light turns green and the guy behind you honks. I don't know if it's true now, but we get so uptight with so many things. Why? So learn to enjoy, learn to appreciate, learn to feel joyous, and stay in that space, stay in that feeling, and Good morning, afternoon. 12:10 हो गया है अभी. Devyani loved it last week when they did. Remember? What was it, Courtney? We were doing this somewhere. अभी क्या करेंगे? धन्य 12:10 हो गया. So we'll end with Dhanya and Jyota. And धन्य धन्य हो प्रदक्षिणा सतगुरु राया की. करा सुरवरा विमल सुराया. पदोपदी अपार झाल्या पुण्याच्या राशी. पदोपदी अपार झाल्या पुण्याच्या राशी. धन्य धन्य हो प्रदक्षिणा सतगुरु राया की. करा सुरवरा विमान सुराया. मृदंग ताल ढोल भक्त भावार्थे गाती. मृदंग ताल ढोल भक्त भावार्थे गाती. मृदंग ताल ढोल भक्त भावार्थे गाती. धन्य धन्य हो प्रदक्षिणा सतगुरु राया की. कोटि ब्रह्मा हत्या हविति कविता दंडवत कोटि ब्रह्मा हत्या हविति कविता दंडवत लोटांगन धालिता मोक्ष लोलिताय धन्य धन्य हो प्रदक्षिणा सतगुरुराया जी सरासुरवराभिमान भजनाचा महिमा नकले आगमा निगमासी भजनाचा महिमा नकले आगमा निगमासी अनुभवते जानते गुरु परिचय धन्य 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 हो प्रदक्षिणा सद्गुरुराया झाले प्रदक्षिणा करुणी देह भावे वाहिला प्रदक्षिणा करुणी देह भावे वाहिला प्रदक्षिणा करुणी देह भावे वाहिला श्रीरंगात्मज विठ्ठल पुढे उभा राहिला धन्य Tvameva sarvam mama deva deva durakaro dukha dara sabha daya karo bhagavan mana mandir mein ujjwala ho tera nirmal gyan jisa ghar mein ho आरती चरण कमल चितला हरि वासा करे जत आनंद जगाए जहाँ भक्त कीर्तन करे बहे प्रेम दरिया हरि श्रवण करे सत्य लोक से आए सब कुछ दिया आपने बेट करुण्या नमस्कार की बेट करूं जोड़ में दोनों हाथ नमस्कार की बेट करूं जोड़ में दोनों हाथ पूर्णमिदं पूर्णात् पूर्णमुदच्यते पूर्णस्य पूर्णमादाय पूर्णमेवावशिष्यते ॐ शान्ति 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 सद्गुरुनाथ महाराज
So this concludes our Sunday morning satsang and Gurudev's farewell program. Thank you all for being here and gracing us with your presence and supporting all of the wonderful initiatives that Shanti Mandir globally conducts. And so what's next? So we have the live streams. All of the satsangs will continue through the live streams. So we look forward to seeing you on Sunday morning for satsang, and then Thursday for the Guru Gita, and our evening chants, our kirtan on Saturday nights. We'll be in touch in terms of the weekdays and what that will look like. Also, I want to remind everybody that for the New Year's Eve program, so everybody's invited to join us here. That'll be December 31st, which is a Thursday. We'll have our kirtan until midnight. And then on Friday, we'll have our first Guru Gita of the New Year. So that'll be January 1. And then our brunch. And on January 2nd, we'll have the intensive, which will carry Gurudev's New Year's message and for the way forward for 2021. And also the topic of that intensive, Gurudev shared that this morning. It's going to be don't ask me, ask the horse. So with regards to, and what does that mean? That's from Baba's story from Nasruddin, where he says, don't ask me, ask the horse. So we don't know where we're going, ask society. So, but basically he's going to be giving us the instructions of how to go the right way in society and how to become good citizens in society and how to, the way forward. So that'll be, and also part of this topic is accept responsibility. So how we can all accept responsibility and move forward. So that will be January 2nd, and that will also be available to everybody virtually as well. So that's on the 2nd, and then the 3rd will be our first satsang of the year, January 3rd, 2021. So stay tuned to all of that. Again, how can everybody stay in touch? Through all the virtual satsangs, but also through all of the online study groups. So those are all available, and those will continue. So there's the Monday for the Spanish speaking with Nicheshwari. There's also the Thursday with Larry Holmes with the workshops once a month. And then there's also the Shiva Sutra study group, which just commenced last Saturday with Dana Wilkinson. And then there's also the one that's with Mark Ketchell, Larry Holmes, Mary Riley, and Leo Dale. So that's also there as well. So just make sure that you take the time through the winter months to explore all of that. Definitely not to be missed. And that brings me to the gratitudes. So I just would like to take a moment to acknowledge a few. So the first thing is that I would like to thank all of you for your cooperation and your compliance with the COVID-19 protocols that were present here during Gurudev's visit. I know it's not always easy for everybody, but everybody, I think together as a community, did a wonderful job. And fortunately, touch wood, we did not have any cases, and everyone is well, and we did not see any sickness here. So thank you all for your grace and for your prayers in making that possible. Also, I would like to say a thank you to the staff here. So as we always say, that Baba always said that if I had an army of lovers, I could change the world. And I can tell you that we might not have an army of lovers, but we might have a team of lovers, a team of maybe 11 to 12 people who stay here all year round, reside in the ashram, offer their love, offer their service, their unconditional seva, to make sure that every area of the ashram is attended to. It's not a small task, but it's a wonderful task, and I would just like everybody's applause to them. Nirguna, Nicheshwari, Robiana, Godavari, Dana, Jackie, Shanti, Vinay, Dipanshu, and Prabal. So then that brings me to the kitchen staff. So when Gurudev mentioned that he was going to be coming here, we already had in motion for Prabal, who was our resident cook and priest, to go to India, as it had been a period of about 2 years since he had been back home to Mother India. So he went back to be with his family. And again, having a community and having everybody's love and devotion made it possible to continue with the all of the prasad, all of the annam that came out of our ashram kitchens. So with that, I'd like to thank Dana and Jackie, Ron and Jackie, Umesh, Nagarkate, Peter Fagiola, Ingrid, and Dipanshu. Behind the kitchen, there has been an extraordinary garden, which has allowed us to move forward with our farm-to-table concept and initiative. And with that, that happened at the very beginning of the COVID. And at that time when COVID was already, wasn't here yet, it wasn't visible, it wasn't present yet, all of the preparations for the garden were already underway. And it was for a full summer with all of the capacity of visitors that we normally see every year. So all the seeds that were ordered, everything was like for hundreds, right? So by the time COVID started and the garden was ready to be planted, it was this huge garden, but there were no visitors. So between Shelley, Mary Sue, Shanti, and Daniela, it was a labor of love out there every single day to do what needed to be done and to bring all of that to the kitchen here. So by the time Gurudev came in September, there was still that abundance there to be able to fulfill it for everybody. So an applaud for the garden. Then there's a lot of things that happen around here on a daily basis and on a weekly basis, and not everybody always sees some of those people behind it. So this particular gratitude, it's directed to you, Dave Gervais. And that yurt that you see out there, the yurt, the erection of the yurt out there for our homeschooling, him and his brother were there at a time when it was needed to, the homeschooling team thought that they could manage it. So they were out there with a bunch of guys, a bunch of their team, and realized that it was far beyond their capacity, but it was just a phone call to Dave to say, do you think that you might be able to help out over here to get that lifted? So when I think of those kind of things, it's like the mountain of food where the finger is placed under there, and Govardhana is able to manifest that. So, and then we've had all the painting projects. We have our new dumpster enclosure, many, many other things. So thank you, Dave, for just your steady presence here at the ashram and for contributing everything that you do. Then we have Larry Walensky for our legal counsel and making sure that when Gurudev was going to come, he was like, we have got to have a plan. Otherwise, you're going to have total chaos over there. You've got to have a plan. So thank you, Larry, from the bottom of our hearts for keeping everybody safe and for just being there every single minute. Also, I would like to thank Prabodha and Madhuvati Cohen. It is with their monetary grace that we will be able to continue with all of the live stream, and they've been the ones who have sponsored all of the sound equipment and all of the video equipment, both for here, for this ashram, and now we are going to be, Gurudev will be carrying back in his suitcases many other items so that we can hopefully offer the same thing from Magod, provided that we can get a steady internet connection. But So with all of that, thank you, Madhuvati and Prabodha. It's really important that the global satsang is able to stay together. And with all of the different countries and with the situation being that everybody is not able to travel, it really makes it possible for everybody to stay completely one. So thank you. And then we have all of our teachers. So we have Larry Holmes, Dana Wilkinson, Nicheshwari, Mark Ketchell for all of the virtual classes. And I know that for many people during this whole COVID situation, it has been an incredible lifeline to everybody, and it has been appreciated by everybody everywhere around the globe, and everybody has been able to partake in them. So we thank all of you for providing that to everyone. And last but not least, thank you, Gurudev, for honoring the ashram with your presence and coming and being here for all of us. I know when you arrived, it was a time when there was a lot of uncertainty. I don't know that all of the uncertainty in the world has dissolved yet. However, hearing your talks, hearing the wisdom, feeling your presence, and that steadfast encouragement and inspiration for everyone to continue with the practices and what we can do as a whole to make it a better society, a better world, has been very, very appreciated by all of us. And hopefully we look forward to your return. It was earlier mentioned that it might be at the very end of March or by April 1st. So stay tuned, everybody. So with that, we're going to move into darshan. Huh? Oh, thank you, Puna. So what we'll do now is we will move into darshan, and there is a little tape marked on the concrete there on the tile, so if everybody could observe the social distancing. We have a few days left, and we want to make sure that we send Gurudev back safe and healthy and well. And also, we will take just a couple of minutes to get organized with the tables and getting everything resituated for our lunch prasad. So just bear with us for a few minutes, and then the lunch prasad will be served here. Today we have dal, rice, and a mixed vegetable, and also there's a sweet for everybody. So make sure that you partake in lunch prasad, and then we'll see you all very soon. Sadhguru Maharaj Ki Jai.